Ever wondered what makes TV so powerful in Jamaica? Time to find out. Welcome to Global TV Group 358, where television meets innovation. We're not just about shows, we're about shaping society. In Jamaica, TV keeps you informed, connects diverse voices, and supports democracy. Imagine a Jamaica where broadcasters unite, sharing data and collaborating globally. That's us, a unified voice in the TV industry. Did you know TV advertising is still king? It drives website traffic, boosts brand equity, and powers integrated campaigns. Even in an age of digital, TV stands strong, resilient in tough times. Our global TV deck is your treasure trove of insights and data. With charts, graphs, and success stories, it's your guide to impactful TV advertising. Curious to learn more? Visit our website and see how Global TV Group 358 keeps television at the heart of entertainment in Jamaica. Get ready to binge watch the future.
For me again, you can't for me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scandal, we can't buy time. You can't for me again. Can't for me again. You can't for me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a resort to crime. You can't for me again.
What we gonna eat no money, what we at you, eat no at you. Covid money, miss you, we eat the yellow correct you. Use the youth, the money, waste a must a man to statue. Say me like a catch you, but bigger than a figure you. Take the spit of money, girl, and say that it's not you. On the head, the man above him, look him, I got a bet. Too much it in the kitchen, some a fly well like a patu. When singers and DJs and social media's coming at you.
It burn me.
300% raise.
It burn me.
Garbage pile of the day.
It burn me.
Give the teacher them raise.
It burn me.
I see corruption face.
It burn me.
Mash down the people them house.
It burn me.
Every day appear arms out.
It burn me.
Appear money them a thief.
It burn me.
And them a sell out with each.
Can't for me again. You can't for me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scandal, we can't buy time. You can't for me again. Can't for me again. You can't for me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a resort to crime. You can't for me again.
From me say dig up all the charities and all of the givers. Some a go like say them powerful, me no make a bigger. The 100 promises, none of them not deliver. Cut up the youth, they rough and they down in our figure. Member bowl only and they lie them tell. Corruption smell and they pocket them swell. When police don't a market like Satan out of hell, go mash up people start like thief when them sell.
It burn me.
On them treat the market man.
It burn me.
On them a treat the cat man.
It burn me.
On them treat the peanut man.
It burn me.
On them a treat the dirt man.
It burn me.
On them a treat the son man.
It burn me.
On them a treat policeman.
It burn me.
How them a treat soldier man.
It burn me.
How them a treat everyone.
Can't for me again. You can't for me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scandal, we can't buy time. You can't for me again.
Stevie dim day. We in Global TV says certain kind of friend we no keep. And some informer friend we love like. We in Global, bona fake friend and bona tape. We in Global, we not promote them, we not support them. Look at them on the cheek, come here represent for. We in Global TV, check it.
Good evening and welcome to Speed and Doge. We will definitely be dealing with Speed and Doge in this evening's show. Hobnob, much ado about utter waste of space is how Andrew Holness' cabinet is run. Overfilled office of the Prime Minister. Yet, another ministry created in the office of the Prime Minister. This time, mimicking Donald Trump. Speed, bureaucracy, Doge, and all of that. The most difficult part of this evening's show will be listening to the Prime Minister for 10 minutes or so. That I hope you can support, so we have a great understanding of speed, bureaucracy, and how it's intertwined into the whole Doge bullshit. I mean, Andrew don't know when to use the piece of tissue and dump it. Andrew have a practice of recycling toilet paper. Maybe he's an environmentalist. That you might never know. We will leave it to the Prime Minister to find out if he's an environmentalist, because the Prime Minister always busy recycling toilet papers. To my community of party and all my family members, platform moderators, membership holders, viewers, subscribers, commenters, and trolls, good evening and welcome. Thank you all for joining us this evening, on an evening where a new office has been created in government. Yes, the Ministry of Bureaucracy and the Committee of Speed, Speed, speed from the Prime Minister. You really couldn't make up the acronym that runs this government. I mean, it's like he goes around feeling in the dark for another acronym to impose upon us, the people. No, sir. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. How are you all doing? Beat and teach. Good evening, and welcome. Thank you for joining us. Good evening. Oh, who else is here? Monica Wills. Good evening, Debbie Jarvis TV. Sharon Bernard. Good evening. Good evening, Joan Bailey. Sandra Ellis. Herbert Tuesland. Good evening. Miranda Rado. John Rack 8766. Sophia Hall. Good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining us. Calvin. What's this? Heritage. Good evening. Harriage, I think. Good evening, Christine Gilbert. Good evening and welcome. Good evening to TikTok. Good evening and welcome. Let me see who is on TikTok. And we are back on our Global TV page. Got on our TikTok box with our mouth over producer Wayne. Debbie, how are you? Susie. A leg pies. I don't want to chop up your name, but you know, say you meant that. Good evening and welcome. Speed, bureaucracy, and Doge. Andrew Holness is refusing to talk to us on an important issue that is life-threatening. But what the Prime Minister could do is spend his time creating a new office for his recycles. It's not the first we see the Prime Minister create a new office for his recycled toilet papers. Marlene Mother, who fought after completing her tenure as Attorney General. The Prime Minister creates an office, a ministry for Marlene Malahou Fort, which mimics the Department of Justice. What Marlene Malahoo Fort, Michelle McKay, is asked to do is the remit of the Department of Justice. However, a new ministry is created. In the era where Caribbean leaders are having a face-off or an elbow up with Donald Trump, and leaders of the Caribbean for the very first time in a long while are making bold statement on the international scene. Here comes Jamaica. Under the table, as usual. Head down, we don't know what they're doing under there. But the Prime Minister managed to raise his head. And up come Speed. Don't know how fast the Prime Minister intends to run. Don't know how far the Prime Minister will be going either. But we have bureaucracy and speed. Bureaucracy, the Prime Minister said, is an encumbrance to economic growth. You know, everything this Prime Minister doing, it have to have a economic growth base attached to it. Ingrid Grandison, welcome. How are you? Do you notice that everything the Prime Minister does, it has an economic growth base attached to it? It's like you cannot get enough of the Prime Minister and his base much about do nothing at all. Isn't Audrey Marks a waste of money for Jamaica? Bringing Audrey Marks into the cabinet. Diego Don, how are you? Bringing Audrey Marks into the Senate and into the cabinet with a whole new creation, Kate M, is a waste of money, you know. Audrey should have really been flushed down the toilet. I mean, because in Britain we would call Audrey a hobnob. In Britain here, we would call Audrey a hobnob. A total waste of space. A waste of taxpayers' money. But here goes the Prime Minister with his Doge. The Jamaica version, Christine Gilbert, of Doge. We're back on the Global TV TikTok page. Christine, TikTok box up and remote and producer Wayne. Doge and speed. Government efficiency. The only thing your government, Andrew Holness, is efficient in is being an efficient thief, Prime Minister. An efficient criminal where you have ordered police to go around the country killing with impunity. Speed. Speed, Prime Minister. And the Wagwan. Speed. Can you imagine? Audrey Marks. Speed. So all the time you see Audrey Marks sit down in Washington. Audrey Marks, they sit down. How can we come up with a counter to Doge? Because after that, Audrey Marks they sit down and think about how do we mimic Doge? How do we waste taxpayers' money in Jamaica mimicking Doge?
Out! Whoa! Yo. We need help, Jesus. Jamaica need help. Shift the parliament. Shift the election. Shift everything. Remove them out there. Take out the cockroach. Take out the thief. Take out the criminal them. Take out the thief them. Take out the murderer them. Take out the gang leader them. Out of parliament. Take them out. From Portland. Take them out. I hear Portland. Me I go to Portland. Why me I travel to Portland? Take out somebody. Man or woman.
A question that we can ask ourselves. Will Audrey be worse than Marlene? Or will they be as bad enough as each other? Will Audrey be worse than Marlene? Or will they be as bad as each other? The most difficult part of the program, we're going to go through it now. You have to support me here. It's only about 10 minutes of it. It is important for us to listen to the Prime Minister waffle, because I don't know what me can news good, especially when the news are come from liar. If the news is coming from a liar, then me can't carry the news good. Kaya Maria Wagwan. Me can't carry the news good if the news are come from liar. Best thing for do is make liar Carleen Richards, Evan Riley, Monica Wills talk out of them own lying tongue. Next thing you know, me go get mixed up in the speed and Doge crisis. Make the Prime Minister talk out of him lying tongue. Make for the Prime Minister tongue tell the lie.
Minister without portfolio in the office of the Prime Minister with responsibility for efficiency, innovation, and digital transformation. You have to find an acronym. And Senator Delano Seabright, Minister of State in the Ministry of Tourism. The Honorable Dr.
Let me check that.
Audrey the Cabinet Secretary. Our permanent secretaries who are here. Bishop Christine Bengucci, District President.
Hey, Roshane Rice, how are you?
Special invited guests, especially the proud family members of our newly minted ministers, media representatives, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. I don't usually go through the salutations in this detail. And in fact, I have issued a directive to the Cabinet Secretary. She refused to follow it.
No, jot down.
Which is that once the protocol has been established, we have no need to repeat it. But see that this is such a special event, and we have all so many special persons here, it is deemed appropriate that the Prime Minister goes through the very august salutations. I'm very pleased this morning to welcome the Honorable Ambassador Audrey Marks to the Cabinet as Minister without portfolio in the Office of the Prime Minister with responsibility for efficiency, innovation, and digital transformation. I know you have already received a warm welcome.
Thanks.
Minister Marks will be focusing on two areas of critical importance to the country. The first area that I'm tasking Minister Marks with is the reform of government bureaucracy. This responsibility will entail cultivating a government bureaucracy that is agile, agility and bureaucracy don't always go together, but I'm sure Audrey will find a way. That is growth-oriented and innovation-driven.
Carefully listen that the Prime Minister is making
entrepreneurship,
goes along.
Fosters innovation, and accelerates the implementation of major projects as a critical catalyst for our national pivot to growth. There is no doubt that the stringent fiscal policies we implemented to control excessive government spending have been a success. No question about that. They have reduced public debt, restored macroeconomic stability, and strengthened accountability. However, the very layers of controls, checks, and balances that helped us rein in.
Sorry there, sir. The accountability what you're talking about, if I hear you right, the accountability, Prime Minister, does it involve the $3 trillion we're waiting to get accountability on? Just asking. I mean, friends and family might just want to know.
Wasteful spending have now created a new challenge. One that slows down essential approvals, delays critical infrastructure projects, and stifles economic growth. Minister Marks will have responsibility, and I want you to listen to this one carefully.
Listen up.
Streamline processes for efficiency and economic development. What's that acronym? SPEED. Streamlining processes for efficiency and economic development, not to be confused with Doge. And appoint an advisory team of public sector stakeholders as she undertakes a comprehensive review of Jamaica's governance arrangements, systems, and processes, and implement targeted reforms that will eliminate inefficiencies, reduce bureaucratic delays, and enhance the ease, or rather the speed, of doing business. So, Minister Marks, your first duty is to get the speed committee in place. I hate to have a committee for speed. But because the subject is so complex,
will you be putting Mr. Bolt
there are
on
many
the
strings that you will have to be pulling. It's always good to have an advisory task force. So let me not use the term committee. It's an advisory task force. Yes, an advisory speed force. I like that one. Yes, so you will appoint the advisory speed force. Now, for the average Jamaican listening, the experience with bureaucracy is probably primarily expressed in the frustration at our tax offices. It's the experience in trying to call a government entity and not getting a response on the telephone. It's the customer service at public offices. It's the tremendous paperwork that you are required to go through. It is the giving of information over and over and over again. It is this small frustrating things which cost you. I was speaking to someone recently who pointed out that they submitted a plan for renovation to their home. They're doing an expansion, and they were submitting a plan to one of the parish councils. And just one letter was left off, a description of an item. And it was sent back for it to be reprinted. Now, those of you who understand the cost of reprinting plans. And so this is how we, the average public, experience bureaucracy. And sometimes you can't blame the person who is charged with enforcing the rules of the bureaucracy. They're just doing their job. And they are not paid to exercise discretion or to show initiative or to be entrepreneurial. They're punished for that. So when we say we're establishing, it's not a new ministry, but it will certainly have a new focus within the office of the Prime Minister. This is something that is critical to relieve the pressure points, the pain points on citizens, but to also increase the pace of growth. It is also a signal that the government is listening, that the government cares enough to restructure its own bureaucracy, its own operations, its own business processes, to make life easier for the average citizen. The truth is that bureaucracies become very self-indulgent. They are there to preserve and expand themselves. That's the truth. And unless governments review bureaucracy, they grow large and unwieldy. And this is not new to Jamaica. This is the experience right across the world. I was watching the BBC recently, and Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced some significant review to their National Health Service. So it should not be looked upon as, government attempt to pass blame or for some political purpose. No, it is absolutely important that government continually reviews the public bureaucracy, because by nature, it is there to serve itself. And governments have to ensure that the bureaucracy serves the people. That's the reality. So this government, we have appointed a minister to ensure that the bureaucracy is serving the people.
The government must make sure bureaucracy is serving the people. Excuse my dunceness, though, Prime Minister. Audrey Marks' very appointment is against the principle or whatever you're trying to achieve, the limitations or cutting down on the over-bureaucratized ministries or agencies of government. Christine Gilbert, Kathy, how are you? The over-bureaucratization of central and local government. Audrey Marks's appointment is really adding to that. Because if it's about controlling the extent of bureaucracy within a department, that is something, Prime Minister, you could task to the permanent secretary for the department, or as well as you could well appoint a business advisor. But Audrey Marks' appointment, Prime Minister, which is a creation of almost an entire office like for Marlene Malahou Fort, Department of Constitutional and Legal Affairs. I mean, Prime Minister, you mean to control bureaucracy. What you have to do, you have to create an entire office of government, which is more bureaucracy, Prime Minister. Paper fingering and pen pushing, Prime Minister. And you think that creating more bureaucracy solve the bureaucracy? I don't get it, you know. Maybe the Prime Minister is long-sighted. The Prime Minister is and can see ahead of a lot of us. We are not seeing how far. A long time the Prime Minister war about bureaucracy. But bureaucracy, Prime Minister, I think you would have addressed it department-wise. But here you create an entire office of government that is going to have a nitpicking over all the different offices and agencies of government. Isn't this a more bureaucratized system, Prime Minister? Junior, welcome. Jody Darkchild, Colin, Daphne. Me not understand Barbara Simpson. Oh, the Prime Minister, Rhoda, watch yourself, new kid on the block. Oh. Audrey is recycled. Audrey should have been flushed. Audrey never do anything at Washington to come home. But then again, this is the same Prime Minister who appointed Faithful, isn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the same Prime Minister that appointed the Minister of Finance, who tells us that if you save $2,000 per month for over a period of 3 years, which is 36 months, that will amount to a tidy sum of $74,000. The same Prime Minister who appoint a Faithful Williams, who have the reading ability of a 10-year-old. The reading ability of a 10-year-old as the finance minister, then I mean, I don't think this is as bad or badder as it could be. Thank you very much, Christine. Thank you. We've seen as bad as that before. Unless you weren't paying attention last Tuesday or last Wednesday, for that matter, when Faithful hitchhiked. Thank you very much, Kathy. Thank you. Faithful Williams hitchhiked her way through the budget. And then, if that wasn't enough, Faithful Williams went on television the next morning, or the next evening, or whatever. And she went off on a tirade of voodoo economics. Duppy teach Faithful for count. In the Duppy's case, though, you normally used to minus one matches stick for the Duppy go walk and look for the one matches stick where you're not drop a dot. In the minister's case, The minister put on 2 extra matches tick a dot. In the minister's case, that's why she's a strange duppy, you know. Because normally duppy would have walked up and down and tried to find what on earth have they done with that stick of match. But this year duppy, Andrew Duppy, decide to go around, read budget, and then go up on TV, go do maths. And we must clap. We should clap and say, well done, Favor, for being a total embarrassment to Jamaica. Well done, Favor, who was the Minister of Education, with Pickney, P-I-K-N-E-Y, read better than you, Favor Williams. Aren't you ashamed of yourself?
Explain that.
Okay. Well, the minister said the budget is 1.26 trillion. It's going to be financed 949 billion in tax revenues, 4.9 billion in capital revenues, 139.8 billion in non-tax revenues, 5.6 billion in grants.
Yep.
That's on the income side.
5.9 in grants, but yeah.
Yep. On the expenditure side, 917 billion in non-debt expenditure, 855 billion in recurrent expenditure, 354.9 billion in programs, 495.8 billion in salaries, public sector compensation. Now, the 949 billion in tax revenues implies additional revenues of 50 billion thereabouts. That's about 5%. Inflation at 5% will take care of that. So that's not a problem. Yeah. So the revenue side of the budget, not a problem. What we're looking at now is how you use the revenues. So the minister spoke about the capital budget. One of the things that we're expected to hear from the minister is what, Madam Speaker, we're going to also focus on dealing with the procurement problem. Because what we have been seeing consistently, even under the former finance minister, Nigel Clark, they always underspend the capital budget and tell us that the problem is related to the procurement process. Now, if you don't spend your capital budget, you're not going to be able to accelerate economic growth.
Fair enough.
The capital budget is a budget that we use for our roads, our schools, and all of those things.
Overall, what did you think of the budget? If you had to give the minister out of 10 as the highest.
4.
4?
Yeah, man. Because we need to, Jamaica is right now in a recession. The rest of the global economy is slowing down because of the policies.
Why 4? Why 4?
Because it never covered the areas that it should cover. We need a growth strategy now.
So because you're listening for that growth strategy, which is an important area of focus, that for you has essentially given her a failing presentation grade?
Yeah, man, because she never addressed the issues that are important.
No new taxes for 2025, 2026? No new taxes? What do you think about?
Well, no new taxes. Yeah, one of the things that the people of Jamaica have become used to, because of the low level of economic intelligence.
And I may say in a favor. Ralston Hyman. Ralston Hyman, Miss Williams, who you know very well, who Mr. Hyman said, you and I can pick up phone and call one another. And we are sister. And we rate you less than half in your presentation. So your sister, we in the vlogging world, as Uno call it, but we say independent journalists. Your sister, when we come out and we tell us the EH, Favor presented a flop budget. Uno sister, Jamaica's top economists, Ralston Hyman, have a dismal view of Favor's budget. It is why Favor couldn't barely presented because the budget itself was a dismal failure and favor make it worse. But here Alston Hyman is going to address this tax nonsense that the government keep telling us every no new tax.
Is that they only see taxes when the minister goes to parliament and says, we are going to have a new tax category. But the fact of the matter is that they are paying more taxes. The government is going to collect over 50 billion more in taxes.
How?
So I told you, inflation. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when the cost of the goods and services go up, 15% GCT on $115 is more than 15% on $100.
Right.
So the indirect taxes, that is how you collect taxes. So you don't have to name a new tax category.
But doesn't that inflation still affect how the government expenditure overall too? Because Jamaican inflation doesn't exist in a vacuum.
No, that's the point I'm making.
Right.
That's the point I'm making. So what we want, that's why we talk about growth. We're talking about real GDP. A lot of people, even the analysts, don't know the difference between real GDP and nominal GDP. Nominal GDP is GDP before the subtraction of what we call the GDP deflator. That's producer and consumer inflation. Right? So right now, real GDP is projected at 3.48 trillion. Nominal GDP. Real GDP is only $799 billion. So we need to grow real GDP if we're going to improve the quality of life of our people.
And that is what you were hoping the minister would have.
So we need a growth strategy. Yeah, the way the condition that the world is in now, we also need to know how is it that we're going to export more, because that's a big problem.
You said you gave her 4. Give me the areas that you thought she hit the nail right on the head, if there were any areas like that in your opinion.
Well, in terms of some of the revenue measures, in terms of the reduction of the tax on dividend to external parties.
You were impressed with that?
Yeah, well, I mean, those things, yeah. But we want to see big ticket items. The growth forecast in the budget is 1% per annum for the next 4 years. So you're moving from recession to stagnation. That's not going to help the Jamaican people.
So you were not impressed?
No, we need a growth strategy at this time. We have been doing fiscal consolidation, that's another point. We have been doing fiscal consolidation, that's another point. We have been doing fiscal consolidation for 13 years, not for 10 years since the JLP was in power. This thing started under Peter Phillips and Portia Simpson-Miller. We need to remind the country about that. The whole process of fiscal prudence and fiscal consolidation. When we re-engage, I am a foundation member of the Economic Program Oversight Committee that was formed under Peter Phillips in May of 2013. This is when that process started. So the people of Jamaica has been undergoing this fiscal consolidation process for years. So we need to grow now. That's what we're talking about. And the international economy on which we depend is slowing down. The remittance flows that we depend on to pay for the exports, they're slowing down. 2.85 billion for the first 10 months of last year. Under Trump, they're going to slow even more.
So you heard it. No matter how much the Prime Minister goes around the country, sing and dance, no matter how much the Prime Minister pivots, the facts are the facts. The Prime Minister has run, and Nigel has run this economy into the ground. Let's listen to the business community. We heard from the country's top economists. Let's hear now from the business community.
Out of the box to manage the economy, because what I will comment on is that right now, as it stands in the Jamaican economy, the economy is struggling. It's probably the worst I've seen in the 30-odd years I've been in business. The buying power is the weakest, and government needs to find ways to, catalyze the economy to be able to grow. We tried our best a few years ago, and Jamaica started to see growth. But right now, they've done so many things to stagnate the industry. Interest rates need to come down quickly. The Bank of Jamaica needs to come out of their tunnel vision and start thinking out of the box to manage the economy, because right now it's in a very stagnant stage and actually in a dying stage. And it is actually quite frightening what is happening out there. When you speak to business people, people are saying they're seeing anyway in a 50% down in terms of sales, the retail trade, and every expense is going up. Their rental rates that they're paying to rent these shops and stores is going up. Their light bill consistently is up. You know, it's a tough world out there, yes, but we can do things to make it a little easier for our people in this country. So the minister and the government has a lot to do, and the Bank of Jamaica and our commercial banks, to try and stimulate this economy, because if they don't start doing something now, the economy is going to start fumbling and they're going to be in big trouble.
I want you to expand on that a little bit more from me, Mr. Azan, because it's good to hear your views on that, because the data is suggesting, and we hear the government talk a lot about economic growth and inclusiveness. It talks about business confidence is at an all-time high. We know of unemployment rate, the best that it has been. Is it that the manufacturers are not seeing all of that? Well, what exactly is happening? Why is there a dissonance between the two?
There are one or two businesses that may be seeing some growth, but I tell you, the general economy is struggling out there. The real estate side of things, the building, the construction side of things is slowing. Interest rates has played a major part in doing that. And the business side, the manufacturing side is struggling. And we need to find ways to stimulate back this economy, because what we've done over the years and tried to build it back, coming from where we're coming from, I think what we've done in terms of managing this inflationary issue, I think we've gone about it possibly in a little different way that we could do something, but it is creating a havoc in the economy right now. Buying power is the weakest that I have seen in all my years of doing business. I'm not just speaking from my own business, but generally because I sit on other boards, it is very weak, and it is actually a little frightening for me when I am looking out there and seeing what's happening in the economy out there. So we need to find ways of trying to find ways. The Bank of Jamaica needs to come out. Commercial banks need to start doing things to stimulate stuff, because you're going to find ourselves in a real pickle if we don't do something quickly.
We know the issue of the interest rates and the adjustment by the bank, the central bank, but not the commercial banks, has been an issue for a lot of different players in the market, Mr. Thwaites. Outside of that, you may probably make a comment on that as well from the association standpoint. And also, could you tell me what are some of the incentives that you see as necessary, the association see as necessary to assist the sector right now as it pertains to economic activity?
Yeah, sure. And Omar is echoing a sentiment that we've been in a 2-year environment of high interest rate and lending is tight. So these are the policies that slow down an economy. We've seen interest rates drop a couple of times, but we're not seeing the transmission of those rates at BOJ drops to the commercial banks, and that's a problem. We're half a year in off of our initial drop in interest rates, haven't seen that transmission to the market. That is a key issue in how you incent the growth of an economy and we get it moving again. We know, even with everything Omar said, we know that our economy, the drop in our debt, we have the currency has been in a stable place. All those things are true, but Omar is echoing what we hear a lot through our small and larger companies in the private sector, that there is a concern that the stagnation has to be switched off. We have to see the policies that get the economy moving again. To us, interest rates are key, and
so the Prime Minister haven't heard anything.
We need help, Jesus. Jamaica need help. Shift the parliament, shift the election, shift everything. Remove them out there. Take out the cockroach. Take out the thief. Take out the criminal them. Take out the thief them. Take out the murderer them. Take out the gang leader them. Out of parliament. Take them out. From Portland. Take them out. I hear Portland. Me I go to Portland. Why me I travel to Portland? Take out somebody. Man or woman.
Staten, Bank of Jamaica, all of these people's figure shows that the economy is in a recession. The country chief economist is citing doom and gloom if the government does not do something hastily. The business community is also citing doom and gloom for the economy, lest the Prime Minister and the Bank of Jamaica come out of their tunnel vision and take drastic measures to stimulate the dying economy of our country. Isn't it rather contradictory and confusing whenever time the Prime Minister gets in front of a mic or a camera, the Prime Minister tells you how well he has brought this economy to since our independence. Our economy has never been in a better position. With all of Nigel's expertise, we are at a stage where our economy have become stagnant. One of the bigger issues is the Prime Minister is not accepting it. And if the Prime Minister is not accepting the state of the economy, then the Prime Minister and his team, poor favor, God help her. The Prime Minister and his team, his or her team, will not put measures in place to stimulate the economy because in their mind and their mind only, the economy is in tip-top shape. The economy is in tip-top shape. No need to go around making noise about nothing at all. Because I just make the people that make it up. And it's not really a recession. It's really not a recession. It's only because people like Beryl and Raphael them and all of them lot come interfere with good progress what they are going. This not have nothing to do with fuel management. We have done the best, mash up the economy and send Nigel off to the IMF, where we're going to turn up behind Nigel to borrow money, to waste and order marks in her efficiency, speed, and bureaucracy. Does the country in the state of our economy have money to pay another hobnob, another dishcloth who should have been really put to the fire rather than enter on the table? Want to see why not now work in our country? Sharon Bernard, how you do? Want to see why not now work in our country? Because all the Prime Minister do is recycle used toilet paper and hoping to have a brand new spanking roll of toilet paper when the Prime Minister keep recycling the same old used paper. I same old used paper, Andre Marks, Google Gaga, this, that, the other dons, those dons over there. Have the Prime Minister not seen why his government is not progressing? There is no fresh thinking, Prime Minister, Stacey and leaving. There's no fresh thinking in your government, Prime Minister. When you recycle these old bags, the same old tainted mindset, Prime Minister, goes with them. Let's listen to whose fault it is. If there's a little blip in the economy, let's look at whose fault it is as to the blip that we are experiencing in our economy. Not a recession as the numbers show technically. Not what the numbers show. Just a blip. And that blip really is somebody else's fault other than bad economic management or incompetent economic advisors.
But sometimes bad government with bad policies can throw economies into a recession. Now, what has caused the last 2 quarters of the economy not to show growth? It's simple. One, we had Hurricane Beryl.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
In July. And that impacted the agricultural sector in a significant way. And what happened after Hurricane Beryl? We had a sustained period of heavy rains, which literally destroyed our road infrastructure.
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
We had 3 consecutive quarters of decline in the economy before Hurricane Beryl. So when we got the 3.5% decline during the 3rd quarter of last year, everybody was, oh, I've been telling the people about that level of deceleration for months and that we're going to end up in a recession. Because if you're not spending your capital budget, you have a problem.
We have to go, but some people say we're not a recession. There are other things that you have to put
let me explain that.
Quickly. Well, there's a difference between a slowdown and a recession.
We're in a recession. The National Bureau of Economic Research, which was created by Wesley Clare Mitchell in 1920, the greatest classical economist, tells us that a recession had 2 consecutive quarters decline in real GDP, and also we talk about sectoral diffusion. How many sectors? During the last 2 quarters, the 3rd quarter and the 4th quarter, 11 of Jamaica's 12 economic sectors declined. The industrial sector declined by 12%. Agriculture is down by 25%. We check the numbers. So we know that we're in a recession. And the fact that you are denying a recession, that is why you have not been able to develop the policies that are necessary to take us out of it.
But the folks who are denying the recession are intelligent people. It's not that me just get up and say.
No.
But we have to go.
No, but they are injecting politics in the debate. We're talking about economics. Yeah. Germany is the 3rd largest economy in the world. Germany has been in a recession for 3 years. Last week, the new German chancellor developed a 500 billion stimulus plan to invest in Germany's infrastructure to take Germany out of the recession.
If there were truly a recession, and production fell, one would suggest that businesses would also be closing and unemployment would be rising.
I don't understand why you even did this to yourself. This made you look so fucking stupid.
Can we be in a recession with the unemployment rate at 50-year lows? Surprisingly, the answer is yes. Many out there are waiting for the unemployment rate to spike before declaring a recession. Interestingly, when the unemployment rate reaches its highest point and begins to roll over, That's when you get your next economic expansionary period. When do you get a recession? In every single market cycle. Take a look at this chart. You can see a recession begins when the unemployment rate hits its lowest point and begins to turn higher. With 100% certainty, this is the case in every single market cycle. Don't listen to the media. Don't listen to Janet Yellen. They are all talking their book. But just because the unemployment rate is low, which we know jobs data is distorted, that does not mean that we are not in or headed for a recession.
So you heard it. Don't listen to Andrew Holness. The country is in a recession. And by Andrew Holness appointing Audrey Marks to Doge, it makes it even worse for the country, because we have to be now funding a new ministry of government, the Ministry of Bureaucracy, with the Speed Committee put together by Audrey Marks. I mean, whether you want to call her A-class dimwit or a Z-class dimwit, certainly what we know, Audrey Marks is a dimwit. How will this help to grow our economy by Audrey Marks coming in to really finger papers? Because this is what the Prime Minister has appointed Marks to do. Finger papers and pushing pen. The Ministry of Bureaucracy will not be doing anything else than wasting ink and paper. Not a darn thing, but wasting ink and paper. That is what Audrey Marks will be doing. I mean, Audrey Marks have wasted tant amount of money already by sitting in Washington doing nothing until Elon Doge came along and created his Dogeism. Audrey Marks tell Andrew Holness, we can create our own, Elon Doge, Audrey Speed, Audrey and Speed Prime Minister. Audrey and Speed. When you look at Audrey's eyes, Prime Minister, Audrey looks very high, isn't it? Look like she's all the way up there in the cloud. And you must know that Speed is one of them class whatever drug, Prime Minister. Don't know if Audrey is being speed up Jamrock, Wayne Evans, Violet Watson. But Prime Minister, on a day where we are expecting leadership from you, Prime Minister, on the Cuban issue, what you have done is turn up and give us a good walloping of bullshit. Bureaucracy, 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 economic growth. I mean, Prime Minister, if the economy could grow by the noise you make, us as a country would have had the best economy, because you could actually speak it into being. Jamashley, you going around every day, Prime Minister, trying to convince us, and it's really finger wagging me, Prime Minister, because you go around every day and you try to force us and convince us that the economy is in the best shape it has ever been. Nobody can see. Nobody know why economy catch up in a one corner when now we can't see. It one just stand there, so you know. All when it good and if you come out and wear him pumps and hobble and all of them something there and show off power with how economy look good. Turn up in a corner and hide. Same thing when it comes to crime. The Prime Minister is going around the country, going around the world, trying to convince all of us that crime is down. In a February, then tell we say, crime has never been this low in 20 years. Look there. Only 47 people was killed in February of this year. And they celebrated. No amount of you, thank you very much, Kathy. No amount of you walk and hold with head to the wheel, Prime Minister, is not going to make any of us believe your argument and crime and the economy. You know why, sir? They're just not true. We cannot see it. We cannot hear it. No matter how loud you shout about it, Prime Minister. The good economy and the reduction rather, in your crime rate is not being felt on the ground, Prime Minister. They're only felt from your mouth. And we know, Prime Minister, when you open that gob of yours, I mean, it's a thick pile of cow dung that really emerges, Prime Minister. I look like you don't have more cow shit, or they would call it BS, in your mouth. But we now believe you. You could have born monkey, as my mother would have said, and turn tiger. Good night, Frankie. How are you? You could have born monkey and turn tiger, Prime Minister. We're not going to believe the BS that you regularly chant every day. Because you want to say it, you want to believe it, and you want to hear it. What we hear are noise and rumbling. What we know, though, Prime Minister, is that it's just noise and rumblings. Hear your friend them ask you one question here, sir. Thank you very much, Kathy. Thank you. Hear your friend them round corner turn up and ask you one question. Me hope the gleaner not turn PNP, you know. Not the gleaner. The gleaner PNP long time can't to them. Me hope the observer no get up overnight and turn PNP, because the observer, Prime Minister, is asking you, say, the editors, them somebody write one letter to them, and the editor, Prime Minister, asks you, say, will Andrew Holness sacrifice Cuba to appease Donald Trump? Will Andrew Holness sacrifice Cuba to appease Donald Trump? I mean, it's quite clear it's the decision he's taken. Otherwise, Dr. Tufton wouldn't be busy going to the Philippines, having the conversation with the India, I think, High Commissioner. I believe having conversation with Nigeria. Dr. Tufton is also making us aware that a void is coming, and we just have to fill the void. How would that void emerge, or how would we get to that void? Is by Andrew Holness, the only leader in the Caribbean, to buckle under the pressure of visa and throw the Jamaica people under the bus, Raymond Wood. Because so far, most other leaders, stubborn, good evening, most other leaders in the Caribbean have spoken out and have stand fair and square behind their people, health, and interests. No, not Andrew Holness. Andrew Holness, remember, saying have a house, a Florida named sister name, where I figure look boat and all that jazz. So, Andrew can't afford Pauline Lewis to lose his visa. So, it's Andrew Holness's visa versus your health, Jamaica. A government that cares, they call it. This is a caring government. No other government in the history of Jamaica show the people that they really care. We are the government who sold you out for Donald Trump petulancy. We are the government who chose our visa over you. We are the government who buy your vote for $5,000 and a box food and turn round, take it, tell you. Yes, we are that government who have fucked up your economy and march our way off to the IMF and wait for you come to fuck up your economy some more. Yes, we are that government. Money gone, money gone. Thank you very much, Kathy. We are that government. That government, the Jamaica Labour Party government, who every time they get their hands on Jamaica, all they do is fuck the thing up. Bustamante and Rastaman, hey, Eddie Seaga on the same Cuban issue on the destabilization of social democracy in the mid-70s to early 80s. Bruce Golden and turning the guns at their very JLP supporters in Tivoli Gardens. Hey, Andrew Holness has turned the wrath of corruption, stealing, and nepotism and conflict of interests on the Jamaica people. Yes, this caring Jamaica Labour Party government, probably care to steal, care to commit crime like Dr. Chang, who regularly import guns into the country and give it to young men to kill themselves. Then Dr. Chang walk behind them, shoot them down, put them on a stretcher, and take them to a morgue. This is a caring government. This is a caring government. Good evening, Governor General. I see you minting and shrinking some bullshiters today, Governor General. But you know, to Governor General, we know you're a thief. We know you're a fraudster and a conman, Governor General. That's without a doubt. Just ask the Adventist Church if you think I'm lying. The Governor General is a crook and a conman. The Governor General may also be a lot of things. things you may hear about, things you may not hear about. Like the Governor General's hip. You remember the other day, the Governor General hip wasn't so stable. So the Governor General have to waddle off and fix his hip. But what could have caused the Governor General hip to be loosened and shaken and all that jazz, Governor General? I know Juliet point gun at you like she did with Andrew Holness, Governor General. Hope Miss Holness didn't point a gun at you and while running you hurt your hip. Or is it, Governor General, you have your hip injured in a go-go club in Barbican Square? Governor General, is it that your hip got injured while you were trying to get away from Miss Holness pointing a gun at the Prime Minister? Or was it injured in a go-go club? Because your government say ma crack down on prostitution around the country, Governor General. But at the same time, Governor General have his hip ruptured in a meat shop. I wonder if the Governor General was buying meat. Pound of this and pound of that. That the one on the shelf. Yes, top shelf or middle shelf, Governor General. Them say a meat shop, the Governor General go. And a meat shop, me don't know if go jump off a pole and jump on the Governor General, and the Governor General tug off balance and something happened to the Governor General. But the Governor General has always been into untoward stuff. Kathy, thank you very much. The Governor General has always been involved in untowards. Like when the Governor General was the president of the East Jamaica Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Sexy K. The Governor General took your offering and your tithe, and did he went on a great old gamble. Went on a great old gamble. Maybe some of those money ended up in meat shop in Barbican, Governor General. But it is said the reason why the Governor General couldn't have done the throne speech the other day, as we know his hip or back was loosened up. It is said the Governor General, Lady Allen, are you hearing, had his hip ruptured in a meat shop. Don't know if the floor was wet and there was no sign there. But that's what we heard, that the Governor General had his hip ruptured in a meat shop. Thank you very much for being here tonight on the Global Television Group. Remember, tomorrow is the opposition leaders' budget presentation. That link has already been created and is out there floating around. So you can go there and register yourself and hit the like button and all that jazz and turn on the notification, so it reminds you when the time is closer. as well as we tell us that we're going to turn off the monetization for you tomorrow so no advert won't run across. But then you have to top us up with super chat for the money we'll be losing in adverts. Thank you all very much for being here tonight. You have had your full day of show. Join us back tomorrow for the At a Glance program, and we will come on a little bit early. We'll come on the same 6 o'clock tomorrow evening, 1 o'clock your time, and then we'll have that discussion up into Mark Golden's presentation. Thank you very much, and good night from the Global Television Group.
If you don't like missing out on the latest shows but still enjoy classic hits, then Global TV Group 358 is your perfect match. Global TV Group 358 isn't just another channel, it's your ultimate TV experience. From breaking news to binge-worthy dramas and timeless classics, we've got it all. Our unique blend of original content and global favorites means there's something for everyone. And guess what? With GTVG's seamless streaming, you can watch anywhere, anytime. Plus, our interactive features let you be part of the action. So, whether you're a seasoned binge watcher or a casual viewer, Global TV Group 358 is here to keep you entertained day and night. Don't just watch TV, experience it with Global TV Group 358. Subscribe now and never miss a moment.